guys? Michael Fave, Olympia Fitness and Performance. Here with Brandon again on the last video I'm going to do for movement screens or drills you can do to assess whether or not you think a young athlete might be at risk for an ACL injury. This video we're just going to talk about proprioception, or fancy word for single leg balance, right? So we do a ton of single leg balance in here for not just our athletes, but our general population members as well. But for the sake of this topic, extremely useful tool to use when training a young athlete who is just beginning in a strength and conditioning setting. So I mentioned the word proprioception. That's basically a fancy way of saying knowing where your body is in space. And the better we get a young athlete at doing that, the more proficient they are at reducing their risk for a non-contact injury. So the topic being 70% of ACL injuries are of non-contact. So a lot of them are happening on a cutting, pivoting, twisting kind of motion, whereas you're on one leg when that happens, so we should be training our athletes drills where they're on one. So I like to use this AirX pad as a good starting point. Sometimes this can even be too difficult for a young athlete to do, and as I keep mentioning, Brandon is a trainer here, so his form is going to look pretty naturally good because he does this a lot himself as an athlete, but his form is going to be not so common in this demographic of teenage or young teenage athletes. So a good drill I'm going to have Brandon do is just to stand on one leg, bring one knee up to waist height, arms by his side, and just hold it. Okay. So common things we'll see, if this is somebody's first time on a pad like this in here, you won't see such a still position, right? You're going to see a lot of that wiggling, right? That knee might be kind of moving all around. Upper body might be swaying, you might see some people trying to catch their balance. So obviously we're going to get both legs, so I'll have them switch. And it's good to just kind of notice how one leg compares to the other. Good. And then obviously we're going to want to add some more movement to it. So another one I like to do is I'm going to have Brandon stand on one leg. And I want him to imagine he is on a piece of wood that's floating around in the ocean, right? And if he shifts too much weight forward, he's gonna fall in the water. So I want him to reach as far as he can, tapping the water to the front with his toe, and then up, and then same thing to the side. Good, and then backwards. And also just, why not, let's do a little bit of a curtsy. As you can see here, Brandon's demonstrating really good form with this. Won't commonly see that in the young athlete. Those knees will probably be buckling, probably won't get that much range of motion going forward. Good. I really like this one too because a lot of ACL injuries happen because that forward translation of the tibia, right? So Brandon plays soccer, so I'm gonna use soccer as an example. So when you're winding up to make a good kick, right, if you're a righty, that left leg's job is to be decelerating, stabilizing, right? And if all that force is going forward and you never train or put your knee in a controlled environment like this, if you're never training that position and you're exerting all your force and effort onto the playing field and that those ligaments are feeling pretty weak or the muscles are pretty weak, it's not going to be very supportive for him to keep him safe at all times. So we like to train those positions a lot, and the videos we were doing earlier, the bounding drills, are a great example of that as well. So to wrap it up, single leg balance, great for proprioception, great for the young athlete's central nervous system to adapt to being on one leg at all times, knowing where your body is in space, always reacting in sports to the ball coming at you, a defender coming at you. So you want to be able to make those lateral movements really good on one leg.